In fact, Trueman elucidates the fact that as the professor preached to the Wittenberg congregation and wrote for the instruction of readers across the German lands, Luther emphasized living as the reborn children of God. His strong doctrine of creation led him to enjoy the Creator's gifts of both material blessings and the relationships woven into the very essence of human life in community. Therefore, he spoke to human need and human desires within the warp and woof of daily life, with all its temptations and all its divine callings to serve as God's masks in his creation. In all Luther's struggles with his own conscience, with stubborn peasants and arrogant princes, with powers of Satan ranged against him and ready to burn him at the stake, Trueman finds one of us, from whom we can learn much, whether we agree with him at all points or not. Thus, this volume presents us with a conversation of another one of us, who has over the years watched Luther closely, listened carefully, and now shares more than only nuggets of insight. This book lays out a plan for living the godly life on the basis of God's address to his human creatures as a word made flesh, a word that delivers a promise in oral, written, and sacramental forms. It concretizes wisdom from another era that fits our own because it is mined from the Word of God. In this study, Trueman facilitates a rewarding conversation across the ages and leads the listener into eavesdropping on Luther as he listened to and talked with his Lord and the Lord's faithful people. Preface. I have loved Luther almost since the moment I first grasped the gospel. Along with Augustine, Aquinas, Owen, Warfield, Lloyd-Jones, and Packer, he has been one of my private theological companions, and he has made me laugh far more frequently than any of those other auspicious names. Thus, to be asked to write on him for this Crossway series was both an honour and a delight. I am nonetheless tempted to suggest you stop listening and read Luther for yourself, for who would want to look at a photograph of the Grand Canyon or Mount Everest when they have the chance to see it for themselves? But for those who want an introduction to the great flawed genius of the Wittenberg Reformation, I trust this book will serve its purpose, and indeed whet their appetite for the real thing. I would like to thank Steve Nichols and Justin Taylor for inviting me to write this book, and then being exceptionally patient as I missed deadline after deadline. They took a risk in asking someone outside the Lutheran tradition to do it, but I hope the final product passes muster even among the true Lutherans out there. And as always, I would like to thank the other staff at Crossway who helped to pilot the book from manuscript to publication. I would also like to express my deep gratitude to Robert Kolb for taking the time to read the manuscript and write a delightful and kind foreword. Bob is a great Lutheran churchman and scholar. He has taught me through his writings how to love and understand Luther, and it is a privilege to have his imprimatur on this Reformed churchman's labours. In a similar vein, I am also grateful, delighted, and honoured that Martin Marty provided such a kind afterword. Some of the ideas in this book were tested out at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky, where I was honoured to give the Geens lectures in the fall of 2012 on the topic of Luther as theological pastor. Thus, I am grateful to President Moeller and then Dean Russell Moore for the kind invitation to spend time with their students. I am also grateful to the trustees and faculty of Westminster Theological Seminary for granting me study leave in the spring of 2014 to finish this book, and also to Ben, Charles, Chris, Dick, Sandy, and Tom. As members of the session of Cornerstone Presbyterian Church, OPC, Ambler, Pennsylvania, along with the congregation, they have provided a happy spiritual home, where my family and I have been regularly fed with the Word and Sacrament for over a decade now, even if in a way that Dr. Martin would not wholly approve. Thanks are also due to friends who have